Hello, everyone. So today we found an article from CNN Business, and Chris Isidore writes, NASDAQ to corporate America, make your boards more diverse or get out. NASDAQ is proposing a rule that would require at least some measure of diversity on the boards of directors of companies listed on the exchange. The rule, which needs the approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission to take effect, would require companies to have at least 2 diverse directors, including 1 woman and 1 member of an underrepresented minority group, including Black people, Latinos, or members of the LGBTQ community. Smaller companies and foreign companies on the exchange couldn't comply with 2 woman directors. And we want to stop there. We already know what this is. This is basically cultural appropriation. You're trying to get people to leave. The title of this article, it is basically saying make your boards more diverse or get out, but they're also saying get out. It doesn't matter if you make the boards more diverse if you're firing people to make room for them. And I wonder how many boards of directors they're going to go through and fire random, probably white people because they need to fill a minority spot. That doesn't seem very fair that you have to let go of one of your own people, somebody that's on one of your board of directors for probably many, many years, and you are going to have to let go of one of them because we are being forced to have diversity included in our group. Now, I wonder how much that really is going to also alienate that person. How many people are going to like this Black person, this Spanish person that comes into this work that has essentially forced their way into the workplace and allowed one of their co-workers, probably one of these type of people that they've went to barbecues with and had family events with and all this, and had to let them go because the law says so. We are all for diversity, but forced diversity is always wrong, and it's always going to create more racism. You're forcing a class of people, a race of people, telling them that they have to hire a certain person or else. And it's not just minorities, it's LGBTQ, as if those are the same exact things. We've wondered many times why they include minorities with LGBTQ groups. It's not the same, folks. One is a life choice. The other is something that you were born with. It's not the same. But we digress. When corporate America has to face a diversity issue where they're being made to do something, a lot of times it's not going to turn out the way everyone thinks. Now we're going to read on. Companies would also be required to disclose, quote, consistent, transparent diversity statistics about their boards. So they're going to be told to write down lists of what good diversity things that you've done in your business. So they're going to be wasting their time with a lot of nonsense drivel on how diverse they've been. And again, this is a kind of a credit scoring system. It is a liberal credit scoring system set up basically by Democrats. But we read on. Assuming they are approved, the rules would require at least 1 diverse director within 2 years and 2 within 4 to 5 years, depending on the size of the company. A company could have its shares delisted from the exchange if it does not comply. So in other words, it is so serious, we will take you off the stock market. You won't even exist anymore if you don't comply with our diversity demands. They're not talking about forcing you to do it and fining you. They're talking about taking your livelihood away for not listening to them. These type of rules are not rules that are going to help anyone. You're running around with your tail between your legs trying to make everyone believe that you are anti-racist or not racist, and you're willing to include it into your business acumen. We say whoever deserves the position that comes in and interviews good deserves the position. Color be damned. But to force somebody into it is a faux pas. That is something that you think is going to work, but at the end of the day, it's going to cause more problems than we generally believe. Quote, NASDAQ's purpose is to champion inclusive growth and prosperity of power to stronger economies. So forcing people to do these diverse things isn't going to cost money. NASDAQ proposal presents an analysis of over 24 studies that found an association between diverse boards and better financial performance and corporate governance. The exchange joins a growing group of voices pushing for greater diversity in boardrooms. In September, California Governor Gavin Newsom, of course he's going to be involved in stuff like this, signed a law that would require at least one minority member on the boards of all publicly traded companies based in California. So they've already implemented this in their Democrat states. And in January, Goldman announced it would not take a company public unless it has at least one diverse board member. So you've already had some people annexing you out, and it gets even better as we read on. Many large public companies already comply with the minimal requirements of the NASDAQ rule. In fact, 4 of the 5 largest companies on the exchange in terms of market value, Apple, Microsoft, Google, owner Alphabet, and Facebook, have boards on which straight white men are in the minority. So they're championing this as being diverse, but the white man is now in the minority. And this, we're going to stop here. I think we're going to stop reading because this is important. In these big groups, the white men are already in the minority. They're excluding you. They're getting rid of you. It is not about diversity when a group of people overtakes a normally white business and they keep on adding, and then there's a minority there of whites. That's not diversity. That's, again, creating more minorities. So when you're talking about being all-inclusive, be all-inclusive, but let's be fair about it. Just look at certain things in life now. Sports is a good example, especially the NFL. At one time, the NFL was predominantly white. And for the longest time, white people and a lot of regular people on this planet wanted that to be the case, that football, all sports were all inclusive. There were not all Nazis out there. Not every white person is some sort of skinhead. So they wanted to be all inclusive. And now we fast forward it all the way to where we're at in 2020. Over 75% of the league is African American. And still we have people talking about slavery. People who are making millions of dollars are complaining about how their quote-unquote owners are quote-unquote slave owners. But what slave ever made millions of dollars playing? As Warren Sapp once said, it's a king ransom for a child's game. And you're going to tell me that these people are oppressed? No one's oppressed that's making millions of dollars. You're talking about being diverse, but every single time you complete that diversity, it always goes a little bit further. Minorities become the majority. It's a way of cultural appropriation. They are systematically taking you out of the equation. We saw a reporter that bombarded a school and constantly went after the principal there. Almost every day for 3-4 days came to that same school talking about what bad he did, and it wasn't that bad. And we confronted the reporter and we asked the question, why are you doing this? Is there an agenda? And honestly, we think there was an agenda. The idea is to get that person fired. And because you need to make a quota, you put in a LGBTQ type principal. But it doesn't matter how bad the school does, you got your LGBTQ principal. And that matters more than the school running properly. Because that principal, sad to say, was a white male. It's such a horrible thing. And all these women out there, if you have children of your own, I hope you support males too. Because if you don't, guess what? They're going to grow up hamstringed, not allowed to be a man, not knowing how to be a man, and furthermore, they're going to have a hard time in life. These businesses are fixing to be pushed. Really, the options are be let go or be let go. You leave out of the kindness of your heart, or else your whole entire business is going to be forced to close down. Because if you don't have the stock exchange and you're a major corporation, then you're not going to do very well. We say the stock exchange should have no say in on who is on the boards of any directors anywhere. Imagine the power that would be. You can hire and fire anyone anytime you want to. Call it a diversity fire or /hire. You can force these businesses to do that whenever you want. What kind of power is that? Even in corporate America, we're seeing this communistic attitude. You will do as we say. We will infiltrate your business all the way through every little thing that you do. And we're going to use the guise of diversity to do so. If you read on to the article, it amazingly enough actually says, a spokesman for the NASDAQ says it believes that at least 85% of its 3,249 listed companies already meet the first criteria of the rule. So you're pushing an issue that is supposed to be so bad, but 85% out of nearly 3,500 companies already comply with the rule without even being forced to do so. It's amazing that that's not enough for them. It never is enough for the diversity social justice warrior. They're even complaining in this article that the Judicial Watch, we actually kind of like them, the conservative group there, they filed a lawsuit in September seeking to block the California law requiring at least one minority director on publicly traded companies. They came out and said, it is disturbing and may violate the law for NASDAQ to seemingly require a discriminatory quota system for race and gender, said Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. And that's what you're doing. We saw this going on in colleges too. The FBI, the DOJ actually said this type of stuff was going on in colleges where white people who actually made the cut didn't make the cut because they needed an Asian person. They needed somebody that was a minority or even an African American. And even African Americans were put away for the Asian because, again, if there's not enough people around and you're forced to do this type of thing, you have to bring in people to facilitate a rule that's basically nonsense. But simultaneously, someone else is paying the price. That is one more African American or white American male or female that doesn't get that position in college, all because the college has had to seek out a position that's fairly rare. Make no mistake, we are not against diversity or equality. We appreciate every single solitary soul that is on this earth. We appreciate every color, every creed, every race. Everybody out there is somebody that's wonderful to learn from and to grow from. But the problem is, a lot of people out there are very selfish, and every rule that you set in place has to be inspected and even fine-tuned, because if it's not, you're going to put a lot of people in a lot of harm's way, and it's going to cause a lot more racism. Forcing businesses to make quotas on diversity is going to cause a lot of problems. It's nice to believe that these companies already are like that. They did that on their own. They were looking for the best people. So it's a wonderful thing to know that these people took it upon themselves to essentially not be racist. But again, that's not good enough for the diversity police. Everybody has to be good to everyone or else. And we say if a company is going to be rotten, rude, or otherwise, we would rather them be forthcoming about it so that people like that don't work with them. We've seen bosses in big major corporations and in even government that behind their workers' back are very racist. And the fact of the matter is, doing this would just cause more people to go underground and circumvent people that happen to be black, Asian, whatever, any minority. It doesn't matter because they're going to be attacked underground like. No one's going to come out and admit that they're anything. And these companies that are hearing now that they're going to be losing their position in the NASDAQ, literally being knocked off stock markets. How much you want to bet they're scrambling to find some position to fill with a minority or creating a position in the board of directors for a minority? And how many of those minorities literally are hired on and don't do anything? They're just there to be a face for their minority status. And that's a slap in the face because they didn't earn the position. They shouldn't feel very proud of themselves because all they're doing is getting by on the color of their skin. And that was something that white privilege was supposed to be all about. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, a good morning, a good night, whichever. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate that. Also, drop a comment down below. We like to talk with you. We like to pick your brain. And if you have any ideas for new videos, we'd sure appreciate it if you drop a comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. If you don't hit the notification bell, you might not get our videos. God bless each and every one of you. See ya.